Hi everyone, my name is Shelby Astle, and I am happy to share some of my findings on the types of support that college attending women want from their parents in making healthy sexual decisions in college. Many parents and emerging adults expect parental support to continue during college. So parents may provide financial support, emotional support, advice. I personally remember crying on the phone to my mom when I was learning how to buy car insurance for the first time. So we know that emerging adults who have supportive caregivers usually continue getting support from parents during college. But what about sex? For many young adults, college is a time period characterized by increased sexual and romantic exploration. But a lot of emerging adults report not having adequate preparation and not getting good sex ed from parents or schools in childhood and adolescence. So for these college students, support from a variety of sources can help them get the support that they need to make healthy sexual decisions in college, and multiple different sources can each provide different ways of supporting students. So college students may get one kind of support, such as education from classes or student organizations. They might get support such as free contraception from a health center, and they might get advice and emotional support from friends. But what about parents? We don't have a lot of research on what college students actually want from parents. I think there's kind of this idea that you ship your kids off to college, you don't have to worry about that. But we don't have research on it. And we also don't know if there might be a difference between mothers and fathers and the kinds of support that college students might want from mothers versus fathers. So we wanted to find out. We asked 192 female college students at a Southeastern university, ages 18 to 25, to answer some questions about this. About 57% were white, 42% Latina, 82% heterosexual, and about 69% were first or second year students in college. We asked them to respond to an open-ended question. At this point in your life, what specifically do you want each source to do to help you make healthy sexual decisions? And we asked about their mother and father figures. We then coded their responses using content analysis and found some common categories of types of support that they wanted from parents. I'll walk through each of these different categories and then talk about bigger themes that we noticed within these during the discussion. So the most common response from participants for when we asked what they wanted from parents, most commonly, let's not talk about sex. This was more common for fathers than for mothers. And we saw participants say things like, none, nothing. I don't want my father to ask me anything. I feel like it would be very awkward. The next most common was the desire for parents to be there for me. This was equally desired from mothers and fathers, and included things such as be supportive, be there for me and understand, support me no matter what I do, and be there for me if I need anything. Next, participants wanted parents to be more open and open-minded. This was more commonly reported for mothers and included things like be more open-minded, be more open to the idea of sex, approve of birth control pills. It would help if she loosened up a lot, stop shaming abortion and bisexuality, and be open to even discussing sex. Next, educate me about sex. This theme reflected a desire to just get sexual health information and facts and knowledge about things related to sexuality. Also more common for mothers. This included things like more advice on vaginal care, be further educated on contraceptives for women in relationships, informing me about the types of STDs, and provide ways I can defend myself in case of a rape situation or sexual assault. Next, the category don't judge, just accept me was a little bit more common for mothers and included things like not judge my sexual habits, no criticism, stop shaming me into not having sex, support me in my choices even though you haven't been overly involved before. Next, advise and monitor me included a desire for just general support and guidance. More common for mothers, included things like give me advice, talk to me about it, help me weigh my options, how to get an abortion if needed, advice when actually pregnant, help me decide if it's a healthy decision or not, and continue to appropriately encourage my abstinence until marriage. Provide for me was more commonly reported as a desire for mothers and included things like tangible or instrumental support that parents could give children. This included supply me with birth control, help me if I'm in trouble with menstruation, provide me with contraceptives, help me get in contact with an OBGYN, and keep going with me to the gynecologist. Ask Me and Talk More reflected participants' desires to have just more communication with parents about this topic, more common for mothers. Start a dialogue about sexual activity. Be honest about what she thinks and openly talking to me. Ask about my sexual decisions and ask a question about my love life. Next, help me with relationships was similar to advice and monitor me, but focused specifically on navigating relationships and things with partners. More common for mothers and included things like be a good judgment of character towards my boyfriends, see if she can find anything alarmingly suspicious about my partner that I failed to see, and check in on relationships. Second to least most common was tell me stories, the desire for parents to share personal experiences with them, and was equally common for mothers and fathers. Talk about past experiences, provide anecdotal experiences from her life, tell their stories so I'm able to be comfortable in opening up about any story that I need to share. And last, trust me, give me space. More common for mothers and included things like I know that I'm a grown-up and I would never intentionally put myself in trouble. Give me space in my choice, let me do me, and trust me. So let's talk about these findings. First, even though wanting nothing from parents was the most common code, only 1/4 of participants said that. So if you actually look at our codes and add them up by kind of like categorize them into bigger themes, over 1/3 wanted some kind of direct support from parents. So including things like talking more and providing for them and giving them advice. And then a little bit less than 1/3 wanted things that were types of indirect support, or I apologize, some kind of indirect, I guess support would be the right word, yeah. Some kind of indirect support, like an attitude change or a shift in beliefs or acceptance, but not like a direct form of providing something for the participant or talking more with them. So even though this was the most common code, really the majority of our sample did want something from parents during college to help them make healthy sexual decisions. The common themes that we saw in these codes were emotional support, wanting advice and communication, and wanting some kind of parent attitude shift. It's also important to note that participants wanted more support from mothers than fathers. This is consistent with previous research of women who usually want to discuss sex with their same gender parent and prefer to avoid conversations with an other gender parent. So here are some of my thoughts about what these findings mean and what we can take away. First, if we want to have, if we want to talk and provide support for our children when they get to college and are young adults, it's really important to build a foundation of open and sex positive parent-child sexual communication early in life and not, that's so much easier than all of a sudden jumping into young adulthood and trying to have these conversations. So building a foundation from preschool age is really important for this. Parent education can help parents understand what building this open and sex positive line of communication can look like in childhood and in preschool ages, like I said, and throughout childhood and adolescence. And I think parent education could be important for even letting parents know, like, hey, did you know that there's research that the majority of college students, at least in our sample, wanted some kind of support from parents in college? I think parents knowing that, it could help them realize, oh, I didn't know that this is a kind of support that young people wanted from their parents, and hopefully could encourage parents to talk to their own children in college or emerging adulthood and ask, hey, is there anything that I can do to help, or what do you want me to do to support you? And I acknowledge that those conversations might be hard to have if you're not used to having open conversations about sexuality. But if that does feel like an option for you, I feel like it would be really important for parents to know specifically what kind of support their children want from them. Because, like we saw in this study, there is a range of different types of support that these young people are wanting. Next, we need to challenge traditional gender norms and sexual scripts to promote father-daughter sexual communication. This idea that fathers can't talk to daughters, or that it's uncomfortable to talk to someone who's an other gender than you about sexuality, I think impedes especially young people from receiving another form of like an important adult in their life who can provide support. But unfortunately, they're kind of like disqualified from that role because of their gender. And there is research that shows that father child communication can have even stronger effects on positive outcomes for children than mother daughter sexual communication or mother child sexual communication. And I think most of that is because it is like kind of radical and against what we would expect for fathers to have open and good communication with daughters. So just we need to challenge those ideas that fathers can't talk to daughters about sex and help fathers be able to have the skills to do so. Especially this could model healthy parent or healthy communication about sexuality with any future male partners that daughters may have. Another thing that I noticed in these codes that I wanted to talk through a little was some conflict between parent and children's behavior and values. So the themes especially of like wanting a parent attitude shift of like, don't judge me, please accept me, be more open-minded. I think all of this is important in highlighting like these young adults, what they really wanted was their parents being more accepting and open. And I think there are times when, and the research has backed this up, that parents who, like young adults are afraid to get support from parents because they know that they'll be judged or looked down upon or not affirmed or accepted. So for parents, I would really encourage them to kind of do a lot of self-reflection and see like, okay, am I okay acknowledging the fact that my child may likely not have the same sexual values or not engage in the sexual behavior in the way that I want them to? And can I acknowledge that and still find ways to provide support for them? Maybe I do need to put my values and feel like I can, like, these were my values, but that didn't happen. That's okay. I'm going to provide support for you now. Or their values where like, I'm not compromising on this, but I can support you in this way. Just encouraging parents to do self-reflection around that and choose what is best for you, because we're just seeing that this idea that like I can't turn to my parents is kind of impeding some of the support, that these opportunities for support that could be there. And then acknowledging not all parents are going to be able to provide the support that their college students want from them. So things that we could do at the college or university level to provide support for college students and maybe fill in some of these gaps would be important. Maybe the health center can provide free contraception classes, and student organizations can provide that like education and fact-based, sexual health information that's missing. Counseling services there for emotional support, or just processing things that is difficult. I think all of those and more can be really important sources of support for college students when they don't want parents to be involved, or parents can't be involved. And we have lots of steps for future research. We need to do this research with this sample only came from one university in southeastern United States. So doing research with different samples and seeing what maybe is similar, what's different among different demographic groups. I would love to do longitudinal studies to see how the way the parents have communicated with children about sex in childhood and adolescence is associated with what young adults feel like they can get, what types of support young adults feel like they can get from parents and what they want. And I would also love to ask young adults more about why these are the types of support they want from parents and what they maybe feel like could be realistic versus not realistic based on their relationship with their parents, that they have with their parents right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your questions. I am happy to answer anything for you. If you're looking for resources for learning how to talk with children about sex, I highly recommend Sex Positive Families. You can find their website. And thank you for listening.